I'm very glad now to introduce a leader of a party, Greek party, freedom, a course of freedom, Ζωή Κωνσταντοπούλου. Zo, thank you very much for joining. You are leading a struggle, very important struggle in Greece on many issues that we are addressing here today. And when Zo responded to my appeal, you said what? I'm very afraid because one day my children can ask to me where you were on June 24th. So you can reply, you were here. We were together. The floor to you.
Thank you so much, Giuseppe, and thank you all. It is really a pleasure It won't resist. It is a pleasure to be here, and I want to congratulate you, Giuseppe, for this excellent initiative, which lives up to our obligations, our duties, and to the expectations of the children of the world and of the societies in the world. Dear friends, dear colleagues, dear all, our presence here today is of symbolic but also of historic value. At a time where state governments show a gross lack of leadership, a gross lack of responsibility, a lack of empathy, a lack of accountability, and the mere ability to represent the peoples of the world and to listen to their voices, echo their hopes and aspirations, at a time where civil societies step up and step forward to claim their rights, to claim their lives, to claim their dignity, but also to claim peace and prosperity for all civilians, for all human beings, and to show solidarity to the victims and to the oppressed, to respect and show respect to all living beings and to the planet, at a time where students around the world unite to oppose the war and all related international crimes against civilian populations, against culture, against the environment, against humanity as a whole, at a time where artists and intellectuals step forward to oppose crimes against children, against women, against men, against the elderly, to oppose putting economic and geopolitical calculations above human lives, at a time where social movements and activists around the world take matters into their own hands and risk their lives to save humanity, to save our common dignity, and carry the burden of our common responsibility as human beings, at this very time, we are also stepping up and taking a step forward here in The Hague, a place symbolizing justice and peace. And we are taking a step together to say no to war, to say no to rearmaments, no to the astronomical budget increases for defense expenditures, to say no to hate, no to racism, no to discriminations, no to apartheid, no to genocide perpetrated at this very moment against the Palestinian people, no to the dehumanization of the victims, no to war crimes, no to crimes against humanity, no to acts of aggression and wars of aggression. No to famine. No to colonialism. No to imperialism. No to oppression. No to occupation. And we should remember that there is a member state of the European Union which is still occupied, militarily occupied, for 51 years now. I'm talking about Cyprus. No. We're here to say no to extermination, no to pushbacks of desperate people seeking refuge. And we say yes to peace, yes to international justice, yes to accountability of those in power, no matter how high in power, no matter how powerful. We say yes to transparency over all public expenditures, including the so-called defense expenditures, which have nothing to do with defense, as we all know. We say yes to democracy and to the sovereign democratic rights of all peoples to refrain from war and to be protected from war and to live and to prosper in peace. I come from a country, Greece, with a glorious history. It's a small country, you all know it, and it has a glorious history of resistance to the Nazi occupation and the Nazi oppression. Our people, the Greek people, resisted in a heroic way and paid a heavy price for resisting, resulting to 1.5 million dead and wounded, amounting to 20% of Greece's population. Greece is tainted with hundreds of places of massacres and executions by the Nazi oppressors. Humanity is tainted with the trauma of the Holocaust against the Jews, but also against the Roma, against homosexuals, against black people. After the Second World War, humanity said, never again. Never again war. Never again genocide. Never again crimes against humanity. Never again war crimes. This was the basis for creating the United Nations. It was also the basis for creating the European communities which led to the EU. It was the basis for creating the International Court of Justice seated here in The Hague. It was the basis for creating the International Criminal Court seated here in The Hague. This is our common identity. This is our common heritage, and it has to be, we have to strive for it to be our common legacy. Peace requires accountability. There is no peace without justice. And there can be no peace so long as international criminals continue to reign in impunity and continue to be received as friends by European leaders who should arrest them. On the 23rd of October 2023, the Prime Minister of Greece, Mr. Mitsotakis, visited Israel for 1 hour. In front of the cameras, he hugged Benjamin Netanyahu and said to him, "I come not just as an ally, but as a true friend." And then he said, "Whatever happens, happens without too much of a humanitarian cost." What is this, if not encouragement to commit international crimes? What is this, if not complicity, coaction in international crimes? It is these criminals that victimize other peoples, but they also victimize their own people. The peoples of the world do not seek war. The mothers of the world do not want to see their children in coffins, and they do not want to see any children in coffins. The armaments policies around the world are in gross distance with the people's sentiment, with the people's will, and in contradiction with the people's interests. And no government and no international organization such as the EU have the right to launch armament rallies against the will, against the sentiment, and against the interests of its people. To this effect, I will share with you a small but big finding. Back in 2015, I was the President of Parliament for Greece at a time where Greece was being suffocated and really blackmailed with the use of public debt. At that point, I instituted a committee, the Truth Committee on Public Debt, which made an audit of Greece's debt. And the preliminary report of this committee, it's this booklet that my colleagues are now handing out to you. The preliminary report, the first preliminary report, which was issued just 10 years ago on the 17th and 18th of June 2015, by a committee comprised by professionals, by scientists, by lawyers, but also activists, citizens, found that a big part of Greece's debt had to do with defense expenditures, so-called defense expenditures, which were all related to corruption. Because defense expenditures around the world are related to corrupt deals. And when we talk about no to rearm and no to war, we should also keep in mind that we are saying no to corruption-related deals, baptized as defense deals. This is the report. And as our party is receiving a lot more trust by the people, we're now the 8th party in the parliament, but we're 2nd in the polls. I'm currently the only woman head of a political party in the Greek parliament. As our party is receiving more trust by the people, I'm beginning to think that at some point we will discuss policies of auditing and writing off odious, illegitimate, illegal, and unsustainable debts related to this kind of deals. At this moment, where a genocide is being perpetrated before our own eyes, projected and live-streamed on everyone's cell phone, the question is relentless. Giuseppe asked it, everyone asks it, children will ask it. What did you do? Our response has to be firm. We did, and we continue to do everything we can to stop the war, to protect the victims, to heal the wounded, to bring lasting peace. Our response has to be, we will not tolerate anything less than peace and justice, and we will not stop until we bring it to the world. A lot of discussion is going on about the right side of history. And on the one hand, you have initiatives like the Freedom Flotilla with 12 activists, of which 10 European citizens. You have March to Gaza with thousands of activists and a lot of European people. And on the other side, you have the so-called world leaders who pretend to play chess with people's destinies and people's lives. On the one hand, you have Greta Thunberg, Rima Hassan, young women, or as Trump said, young, angry women who need anger management seminars. That was his saying. And on the other hand, you have Trump. I choose the young, angry women of the world. I, like Greta Thunberg, believe we need a lot more young, angry women in the world, and young, angry men, and young and less young or more young people, because young is at heart, who believe in humanity, who believe in our right to peace. We want to be proud of ourselves, and we want to be proud of ourselves in the same way that we're proud of the people who resisted the Nazis 85 years ago. And to conclude, I always think, and I'm always moved by the speech of our colleague Giuseppe, the lawyers who represented South Africa before the ICJ in its claim for genocide to be found, to be perpetrated by Israel. So our lawyer colleague said something which I believe touches us all. We're at the point where the Palestinian people, the Palestinian children, the Palestinian victims, but also the victims, the children, the people of the world are waiting for the world to do something. And as they are waiting, we should remind ourselves that we are the world. We must do something, and we will do something. We will do everything for peace and justice. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Zoe. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for this great talk. And we were with Greece at that time during this very difficult time.